Hello, dear friends. Today we'll continue exploring the memoirs of a German non-commissioned officer. Don't forget to rate this video and share your thoughts in the comments. And now, let's begin. October 2nd, 1942. The Forward Observer reported 2 hits from heavy mortars. The dugout is so badly damaged that it's no longer usable. No casualties. All our work has gone to waste. Oh well, we'll build a new dugout. Evening. Next month, I'll be living in this dugout all by myself. That is, when I return to the battery. I'm glad. I'm so happy when I'm alone. This morning, Edu woke me up just because he wanted to chat, and I was so tired. In the evening, the guys come over to talk about their problems. Sometimes I have to tactfully get rid of them. I have so much to do, and when there's not much work, sometimes I just want to read a book. I can't spend all my time talking. I want to make myself a sandwich with bread and margarine and just think. Most people, it seems, don't share this need of mine to be alone, but solitude has never been a burden to me. In any case, I'm never really alone. There's the stove, singing its own tune. And up above, among the floorboards, lives a mouse. They're my friends, the ones I talk to. Today, construction of the new forward observation post bunker was completed. It's already ready for occupancy, which likely confirms the news of an imminent advance brought by the relief unit that delivered the last shipment of boards for the second layer of the roof. We've managed to get through the last 3 days in peace. Nothing much has happened. I don't think we've even smelled gunpowder. Be that as it may, our trench is deep. As for the guys creeping up at night with their automatic rifles and the horizontal machine gun fire, it's all just mosquito bites. We've gotten used to them and hardly hear them anymore. A Russian light anti-tank gun blew one of our machine gun firing positions to smithereens, and the trench was showered with earth knocked out of the parapet. But since the machine gun itself is only there at night, we just laughed it off. It's a shame I was in the neighboring sector, zeroing in on a target at a distance. Otherwise, I would have shown that little upstart a thing or two. However, the next day I opened intense fire on it, and it fell silent. It didn't require much artillery skill. We were only 400 meters apart. But it was an impressive moment because the Russians saw me, and I caused them a lot of trouble. Fortunately, I'd already been given the order to fire, and for the rest of the day they showed no further signs of their presence. It's hard to hit those anti-tank guns. They're constantly changing position. They move forward, fire a few shots, and disappear before you know it. If you're not in position when you receive the order to open fire, you won't be able to hit them. I'm walking along the line of field fortifications in the pleasant company of our bearded soldiers. Some of them have indeed grown beards, long beards that would do a submariner proud. They're restless. Just look who's here, our artillery scout. Come here, my boy, I'll show you something. This is the spot where you'll have to take out that firing position, right over there. And next time, kid, even if you don't end up firing 20 shots at it for me, I'll come and stoke the stove myself to warm up your dugout. Come on, let's give old Ivan a little taste of his own medicine. I've got a sniper rifle. We lay down side by side, one with binoculars, the other looking through the scope. Early in the morning, I was walking along the trench when I ran into a sentry, a small man with a round face under a steel helmet. He was standing there alone, huddled against the cold, shifting from foot to foot. A man suddenly emerged from the dugout, a tall, thin guy with a red beard. They greeted each other warmly. "Got a cigarette left, buddy?" asked the short man. "Sure, I've got one," said the lanky one with a smile. "Wait a second, I'll go get it." "You know," said the sentry as the other man walked away, and you could tell he'd been wanting to say this from the very beginning, "we're great friends. Nothing can come between us." His round face was beaming, and he was happy that I was standing there to share in this great and beautiful human emotion. The tall man returned, and the two of them leaned against the trench wall, taking turns puffing on a cigarette. Look at that, I thought. There's nothing unusual about this anymore. One person going into the line of fire for another. It's so simple and goes without saying. I rode back in complete darkness. Rain lashed my face. When we weren't sure if we were on the right road, the horses found their way on their own. I found my solitary dugout, where I discovered mail and a stack of firewood left by a comrade. My last evening in the dugout at the old artillery firing position. My comrades are reading. I'm writing. The hot stove is glowing red hot. We have a supply of schnapps. In the pot is water from the nearest puddle. We want to make grog. I only need to bend down slightly to pick up the logs lying between my legs. Everything is within reach. There's no need to get up. A mouse is causing a commotion among the planks, gnawing at them, and sawdust is falling down. Sometimes I pick up a splinter and poke it into the holes, then it gets quiet for a while. That's almost the only thing that disturbs our peace. Nothing will unsettle us anymore. I say this not out of bravado, but reasoning calmly and sensibly, with a certain indifference. Come what may, it's unlikely to surpass what we've already been through. When I think about it, I'm almost tempted to say, the enemy is no longer capable of launching such assaults. What caused us concern last winter was not the Russian infantry, but special Siberian detachments. Now, based on the experience we've gained here, we can say, the enemy no longer has such detachments. He must precede every assault with intensive artillery preparation and make extensive use of armored vehicles if he wants to have any chance of success. Even so, its infantry is unable to advance. And what it has failed to achieve thus far, it will not achieve this coming winter either. It may well break through here and there, but it will be unable to consolidate its success. For us, it is simply a matter of patience, fortitude, and tenacity. None of these qualities is particularly outstanding, nor is any of them something to make a big fuss about. But each ultimately demands more from a person than any attack does. An attack inspires. It breeds a desperate fighter. Defense is not as glorified, but it makes you resilient. It is harder to lie under fire, waiting for an attack, than to break through a wall of fire and drive out the enemy. The attacker is intoxicated by excitement. He does not sense the danger. He is the one who dictates the course of action. The defender has to wait. He doesn't know what he'll face. His resistance may be fierce, but it lacks enthusiasm. It has been raining all day. It was raining when we were roused from our beds by a whistle at 4 in the morning. It was raining when the guns were taken down from the front line. And when we followed the artillery crew and the signalman's team. We overtook the battery and moved ahead to take up a new position. It is now 8 p.m. The guns haven't arrived yet, but the rain continues. I stood in the back seat of the mobile radio station, keeping my injured leg off the ground and watching my comrades, whose soaked clothes clung tightly to their bodies. Rain and snow lashed their faces, and an icy wind blew into their wet raincoats. The drivers sat in the high seats of their wagons with numb hands and disgruntled expressions. Their heads were tilted to one side. And so they drove through the dreadful mud, plowing their wagons through water and swamp, sinking as if they were clumsy, heavily laden ships, shaking and swaying over the ruts and potholes of the highway. The surface of the planks would occasionally peek out from the depths of the mud, and the drainage ditches were overflowing. In the worst spots of the low-lying swamp, a second layer of fascines had been laid on top, like a bandage. Despite the fastenings, it was so springy and full of bumps that it felt as if one's soul were being torn from one's body, and one had to constantly strain to keep from falling overboard. This is what an autostrada is, a straight road with well-defined edges, the result of hard and considerable labor, unlike other roads, which resemble rushing streams. But sometimes even an autostrada strays beyond its boundaries. This happens on downhill stretches, where the carts veer to the sides and the drivers have to check whether they'll make it to a safe spot without damage. On such a slope, a light howitzer approached us from behind on a sharp turn. It caught up with us at the very bottom by a long stretch of water that we had to cross at speed. It was a spectacle of mobilized strength as 3 men and 6 horses overcame the obstacle. I saw the lead rider in the saddle. On the peasant's face, this young man wore the same expression one sees when a team of horses crosses a field. There was the same love, the same calm patience with which generations of peasants had plowed furrows through snow and rain, under the sun and in the wind. Straight, disciplined, unwavering. He spoke the same language his ancestors had used with their farm animals. He pressed his peasant fists against his lower back and displayed the same composure while enduring hunger, thirst, and all manner of hardships. The only difference is the plow and the seeds that these young farmers in steel helmets are sowing for the future. The dugout is nearly 9 meters deep. You enter it through narrow passages down steep steps. They have up to 6 layers of logs on the ceiling. They're spacious inside. It's clear that they spared no expense on materials or on the labor invested in the project. Ours is the smallest, and there are only 4 of us in it. This is a blockhouse that was smashed to pieces and quietly restored. It has 3 layers of logs beneath a layer of earth, a deep shaft leading down to the window, and a wooden floor. The bunks and walls are made of light, smooth wood. They're a pleasure to look at. A shelf, a table, chairs, and stools complete the furnishings. The guns are positioned in the vegetable gardens between the rows of houses. Their roar echoes among the ruins and rubble of dilapidated shacks. Camouflage against air attacks is not a problem. We're hard to spot. We have decent supplies. If we're forced to stay in these dugouts, we'll easily survive a second winter. The shoemaker was building a stove for us yesterday. The wheelwright was helping him. You should have seen them, those 2 comrades. The shoemaker did his work with such love that he couldn't be torn away from it. He measured and laid each brick, explaining everything as he sealed the cracks with clay. His rough hands gently smoothed out the sharp edges, and he muttered, "There, there," and like this, with every brick he set in place, as if casting a spell. He did a splendid job, you could tell. Will it be all right like this? Is it wide and tall enough? Right? He placed a sheet of iron underneath. That would be better. Was the door suitable? And the chimney? His face, with cheeks like 2 apples and childlike eyes, leaned eagerly over the opening, which now looked sturdy amid the bricks and clay. Marussia had to call him 3 times before he came down for dinner. And then there was the chimney. That wasn't easy at all. They had to discuss it thoroughly. Both of them got quite heated in their argument, the shoemaker with his high-pitched voice and the toothless wheelwright with his grumbling bass. But they both huffed and puffed as they dug out the dirt and cleared a path for the pipe. We have a small frying pan with a handle. That's all the equipment we have for our makeshift kitchen in the dugout. Otherwise, Dola and Marussia bring us boiled potatoes and set them in a basin on the table, which is much easier. Their mother cleaned the dugout this morning. She took it upon herself to do the dirty work. Believe it or not, she didn't even forget to wipe down the legs of the chairs. It's not as if all the dirt came off the legs. It was thoroughly caked on. But it's quite possible that by the time Christmas rolls around, she'll give them another go. When she was done, She asked if we'd like a tablecloth laid out, and proudly pulled out a piece of wallpaper. It's beautiful, of course. It's not exactly new anymore, but the reverse side is still white. I brushed off a dried-up bedbug. Now the tablecloth is spotless. Meanwhile, they've heated up the bathhouse. It's right in the middle of the firing line, 40 paces from our dugout. I limped over there a little while ago. It's really just a laundry room, but it's very warm and bright. Water is boiling in the steam boiler, and a proper disinfection chamber will soon rid us of our little partisans. Russia is, after all, a clean country. Very clean. At the door, I saw two women, each carrying a pair of buckets on a wooden yoke. They asked friendly, "Comrade, would you like to wash up?" They were just about to follow me for no reason at all. This reminds me of a story about a traveler in Russia. Russia is the cleanest country in the world. You arrive at the Moscow train station, and immediately a young woman approaches and asks, "Would you like to take a bath, sir?" If you say yes, they're very nice to you. They wash your back and rub your chest, and when you come out, another one is waiting. "Would you like to wash up, sir?" Truly, Russia is the cleanest country in the world. But we declined the offer. German Nichts culture. Calm October days. It rains very often, but now the days are filled with faint sunlight and the breath of Indian summer. At night, when the moon rises above an elongated ridge of clouds, its light reflects off the damp walls of the ruins and the sloping roofs. The noise can be heard from afar, and when you stand at night by the dark gun barrels, it feels as though you could touch the front line with both hands. And yet its noise hardly disturbs the silence in my dugout, where I now live mostly alone. The others are either on leave or across the Volga. A great deal of construction work is currently underway. How much this solitude means to me. I can spread out across the entire table with my books and writing supplies. I can move about as I please without having to discuss my movements with anyone. I don't have to be polite. I don't have to listen to anyone or cover my ears to avoid overhearing conversations. What bliss! I love being alone so much. I can't retreat deep enough into myself. There's never too much of this peace and quiet. I tell myself, I just need to pull myself together and find a few kind words, and I'll be able to make someone happy. I can offer something more valuable than anything else in times like these, a little love and warmth. That's all it takes, because we're all going through a tough time, and that's why it's sometimes so necessary to feel the touch of a hand. We live because of love. A few kind words sometimes come with difficulty. With difficulty because words are a feeble consolation when we no longer know what to do. With difficulty because we cannot spare you the worry you feel for us. Doubt and anxiety shine through in every letter, no matter how optimistic it may be. I feel that they are all growing, but what can I do? All I can do is reach out my hands and say once more, "Look, here I am. I'm smiling, and I'm right here with you. Can you feel my confidence? Even if my voice isn't the same as it was a few days ago, I'm still alive for you in this moment, just as you're alive for me. I'm still here, Mom, very close to you. You'll feel it if you pause for a moment. Don't you feel it?" Marussia brought a letter. It's a little strange when you start thinking about it at an artillery position. The little girl was curious. I had to open it right away. But even though it was typed, she couldn't understand a word of what was written in it. Everything in Germany is done by machine. What a funny country. Doesn't your father know how to write? I laughed so hard. How was I supposed to explain that? My knowledge of Russian still leaves much to be desired. I sit there sweating over the Russian alphabet and those awful sibilant sounds, sh, ch, and sh. Sometimes she sits down next to me, and I become the student. I went for a walk on that wonderful October morning. Just a short walk. I was like a patient on the mend, pursuing no other goal than to observe, take it all in, and simply enjoy being here. I wandered through the outskirts and along a rutted street toward the Volga, whose banks are dotted with dugouts, and beyond which the front line is not so far away. I came across a woman with a yoke, carrying buckets used to fetch water from the river. There are only a few wells here. They used to have a barrel, a horse, and a cart. Now they carry water in buckets and place a cabbage leaf on the surface of the water to keep it from spilling. Of course, there's no running water here. I almost forgot to mention this. It's a completely wild idea. Only a foreigner could think of something like that. In one spot, soldiers were tearing down a house. The roof had collapsed, and the moss-covered roof tiles slid to the ground. Clouds of dust rose, and the rafters came crashing down. It was quick work, but there was little left of the house even before they began. The front had been breached, and fragments of the frame hung, swaying in the wind. Only the Dutch stove survived, in all its white splendor. Now it stands, cold and lonely, under the open sky. How the city has changed since the front line reached it. What a completely different landscape it presents. Beams, planks, cobblestones and wires, abandoned household items, craters and trenches. You walk through it with trepidation. It's like a ghost town, even in the sunlight. Life has once again retreated into burrows and cellars, into basements whose windows are boarded up with wooden planks and sheets of iron. Sometimes you can see remnants of window glass, allowing meager rays of light to penetrate the musty twilight. And yet they hold on, the old people, women, and children. They are strong, timid, exhausted, good-natured, uninhibited, as circumstances dictate. An old man steps aside, muttering, touching his cap with downcast eyes. The path through the mud on the road is narrow. A little girl walks toward the river, the scarf on her head blushing red like a poppy. The old man wraps straw around his hat, because it will soon be cold. How simple. A few planks, one or two logs, and the outer wall is ready. Straw is laid between them. He drags it along in his tattered sack. God knows where he got it from. In winter, you build a second stove, and when summer comes, you take it apart again. If there's no door, you take a piece of wood and an axe. You use them to make everything, the joints and everything else, and it all holds up. You don't need nails or bricks. All you need is an axe and wood. This remarkable craftsmanship exists side by side with what's left of the factories. Towering above it all are the green domes and slender spires of churches, white, gleaming, forgotten, and broken. How can all this be reconciled? These are uncultured, chaotic, and incomprehensible people. There's an old man with metal-rimmed glasses and a well-groomed beard. In his clean room, a samovar is cheerfully bubbling away. There's my laundress, who saw her eldest son off to Germany and now has to support only his younger brother. She doesn't take her eyes off her laundry until she's ironed it all. She mended my footcloths and a pair of long johns, even though I hadn't even asked her to. A little boy, modest and friendly. Then there's a boy who buried his mother in the garden behind the house, just as one buries animals. He packed down the earth without uttering a word, without tears, without erecting a cross or a stone. There's a priest's wife, nearly blinded by tears. Her husband was deported to Kazakhstan. She has 3 sons, and no one knows where they are now. Only God knows. In their photographs, their faces look intelligent. Where's the key to all this? It's not just a matter of restoring order here. The world has collapsed, and the natural order of things was disrupted a very long time ago. That's all for today. If you liked the video, please show your support with a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye for now, everyone. See you next time.